Hello and welcome to this edition of ArirangNews Special on Wednesday, December 3rd here in South Korea. I'm Peunji. Now, in just a few moments, we will bring you live coverage of President Jae Myung's national address, marking the first anniversary of the short-lived period of martial law declared by former President Yoon Suk-yeol. Now, the presidential office earlier said the statement today will be about remembering the efforts by the people who have turned extreme chaos into peace. The president's public remarks will be followed by a press conference later in the day with members of the foreign media and then a luncheon with the heads of the 5 branches of government. Now, to give you a brief overview of what happened on the night of December 3rd, 2024, former President Yoon Suk-yeol suddenly declared martial law, citing a fight against anti-state forces. It was the first time in more than 4 decades that civilian rule had been suspended in South Korea. And that soldiers and tanks were deployed in Central Seoul. When military troops gathered in front of the National Assembly that night, thousands of protesters took to the streets and lawmakers had to scale the walls of the parliament building to overturn the decree. Martial law lasted only 6 hours before it was voted down by lawmakers. The incident has resulted in the former president's removal from office, and he now faces insurrection charges. So again, in just a few moments, we will bring you live coverage of President Jae Myung's national address, marking the first anniversary of the short-lived period of martial law declared by former President Yoon Suk-yeol. The presidential office earlier said the statement will be about remembering the efforts by the people who have turned extreme chaos into peace. The president's public remarks will be followed by a press conference later in the day with members of the foreign media and then a luncheon with the head of the 5 branches of the government. Now, while we wait for this special statement to start, to give you a brief overview of what happened on the night of December 3rd, 2024, former President Yoon Suk-yeol suddenly declared martial law that night, citing a fight against anti-state forces. It was the first time in more than 4 decades that civilian rule had been suspended in South Korea. As soldiers and tanks were deployed in Central Seoul and military troops gathered in front of the National Assembly that night, thousands of protesters took to the streets and lawmakers had to scale the walls of the parliament building to overturn the decree. Martial law lasted only 6 hours before it was voted down by lawmakers. Now it appears the president is about to give his speech. We'll come back right afterwards.
특별성명을 발표하겠습니다.
존경하는
Honorable
국민 여러분,
fellow citizens, today
국제혁명이 시작된
marks
지
exactly
1년이
1 year since the beginning of the revolution of light. In the 21st century, in a democratic nation like the Republic of Korea, it was unprecedented for a self-coup to erupt. And it was also the first time in world history that unarmed citizens peacefully and beautifully stopped such coup with their own hands. In a paradoxical way, the December 3rd coup became a moment that showcased the world our people's profound sense of sovereignty and the remarkable resilience of Korean democracy. When the coup unfolded, our citizens ran to the National Assembly without hesitation. You stood in front of armored vehicles with nothing but your own bodies. You've confronted the police who were blocking the legislature. You opened a path so lawmakers could climb over their walls to enter the assembly to execute their rights. Thanks to you, the assembly was able to vote to lift martial law, and it was all thanks to your own actions. I remember the young people who stayed all night at the gates of the assembly, determined to prevent a second imposition of martial law. The citizens who braved the heavy winter snow, relying on only thin silver foil emergency blankets to guard the cold asphalt. I also remember who were unable to join the rallies apologized and prepaid out of their own pockets. And also people, the spirit of these people in solidarity of many who rushed to Namtaeryong to protect farmers are also remembered. They acted with great injustice, but our people acted with even greater righteousness. Our people, not with violence but with dance and song, turned the worst moment by illegal self-coup into one of our best moments. With brilliant light, our people restored brightness to a Republic of Korea that had nearly fallen back into darkness. I would like to take this opportunity to express my deepest gratitude to the great people of Korea for demonstrating such courage and shining power of solidarity. The People's Sovereignty Government, born from the Revolution of Light, will designate December 3rd as People's Sovereignty Day in honor of your courage and your actions. As long as the Republic of Korea exists, we will commemorate the defense of our constitutional order and democracy and renew our commitment to an even stronger democracy. The December 3rd self-coup was not just a crisis of democracy of one country. As many foreign media pointed out, had Korean democracy collapsed, democratic backsliding would have spread not only across Asia, but across the world. Democracy is one of humanity's greatest systems, but it itself is not perfect. No matter how excellent our laws and institutions, without the capacity of the people to uphold them, they're no more than a castle built on sand. In that sense, the fact that our citizens, by peaceful means and through constitutional procedures, defeated the illegal martial law and drove out unjust power is an event that will long be remembered in the history of global democracy. It proved how powerful democratic institutions and peaceful solutions can be when exercised by a people who truly embody sovereignty. An unprecedented democratic crisis that was overcome peacefully are fully deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize that I am strongly convinced. If the people of Korea were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for saving democracy, restoring peace, and showing the world the greatness of democratic governance, it would be a major turning point for nations shaken by conflict and division. My proud fellow citizens of Korea, the Revolution of Light is not yet complete. Investigations and trials to uncover the truth of the insurrection and the involvement of its participants are still underway. Just as the past once saved the present and the dead once aided the living, ensuring that the Revolution of Light protects the future and assists our descendants is a solemn historical duty of the People's Sovereignty Government. Strict accountability for those who took part in the self-coup is only the beginning. Those who destroyed the constitutional order for personal ambition and even sought to provoke war must face judgment. To build a country where no one can ever again dream of a coup, a country where no one can threaten the people's sovereign light, a just unity is essential. Together with the great people who lit the lamp of democracy, we will complete the revolution of light.
국민 여러분,
Honorable fellow citizens,
취임 이후 외교
since taking
무대에서
office,
각국의 정상들을
as I
만나며
meet leaders around the world,
대한민국을 향한
I feel the
국제사회의
international
높은
community's
관심과
strong
큰
interest
기대를
in and high expectations for the
민주주의가
Republic of
위협받고
Korea.
세계
In this
질서가
uncertain
급변하는
era,
이
when
불확실성
democracy is
시대에
challenged and
우리
global order is
국민들께서
rapidly
보여주신
changing,
위대한
the world
용기와
is
결단을
is
세계가
watching
주목하고
the
있습니다.
courage and resolve shown by our
대한민국은
people.
지금
The Republic of
세계사적
Korea
역사를
is writing
써내려가고
world
있습니다.
history right now.
대한 국민들께서
The shining example you set through the Revolution of Light is becoming a new global
세계
standard
민주주의의
for
새로운
democracy.
변화를 만들고 있습니다. 우리가 전례 없는 길을
Just as we
만들어냈던
carved
것처럼
out an unprecedented
앞으로 갈
path,
길도
the road
남들이
ahead
가보지
will also
않은
be
길일
one
것입니다.
that others have not
때로는
walked
깊은
before.
골짜기가
At times, a
때로는
deep
높은
valley,
산이
at
우리를
times,
막아설 수
high
있습니다.
mountain may stand in
그러나
our way. However,
친위
I
쿠데타의 높은
believe
담도 넘은 우리
that
대한
our people who
국민들은
climbed
그
up
어떤 벽도
the high wall of
거뜬히
self-coup
넘을 수 있습니다.
can surmount any barrier.
국민 주권 정부가 탄생한 의미를
We will also
항상
remember the meaning
기억하겠습니다.
of the birth of People's
빛의
Sovereignty
영광을 완수하고
government. We will move
진정한
forward
국민
with
주권의
boldness,
나라를 만들기 위해
trusting in you,
국민
to
여러분을
complete the
믿고
revolution of light
담대하게
and build a
나아가겠습니다.
truly people-sovereign
더 번영한,
nation. We will
더
make our
강하고,
country more
더
prosperous,
인간적인
stronger,
나라를 꼭
and more
만들겠습니다.
humane.
위대한 대한민국의
As we
새로운 역사를
embark on this
써내려가는 이
new
희망찬
journey
여정에
of hope, of writing a new chapter in Korea's great history, I ask you, our citizens, to remain our steadfast partners. Thank you.
네, 이어서 언론인
We
여러분의
will
질문에 대통령께서
now open the floor
직접
to the media,
답변해드리겠습니다.
and the president
질문은
will
가급적
answer.
오늘 특별성명과 관련된 내용이면
I hope
좋겠습니다.
the answer will
손
be
들어주시면
in the
제일 먼저
context
손
of
들어주신 네, 이상호 기자님. 네.
the speech that the president just gave.
MBC 죄송합니다.
Excuse me.
네, 고발뉴스 이상호 기자라고 합니다.
I am Isango
연일
from
너무 많으십니다.
one of the news outlets.
날인데요.
Thank you so much for your hard work.
불편한
Today is a
질문을
very
먼저
meaningful day, but I'm sorry that I would have to ask you an uncomfortable question. The former PPP leader Chu, his arrest warrant was denied. And some are showing that there are concerns, and it was somewhat foreseen. And you also had made comments about the legislation from the National Assembly in this regard. Do you have any comments that you would like to give to the National Assembly? Well, for the second part of your question, let me elaborate. The National Assembly has their own work to do, and the administration has their own work to do. Also, the legislature have their own work to do. The insurrection special judge establishment, I believe that National Assembly will have their judgment, and also they would listen to the people's voices, and also the legislature will exercise their duty by upholding our people's sovereign right. The former leader Chu, the denial of his arrest warrant, I believe it would be inappropriate for me to comment on that. I believe that our people will have their own opinion based on their rational common sense, and also the results will come about. So you still think that you're from MBC, right? Which is your former employer.
두 번째 먼저 손을 또 재빨리
So,
들어주신 우리
let
송영호
us move
기자님.
to our next question.
네, 서울경제 송종훈 기자입니다.
Well, I'm from
오늘
Seoul
성명 중에
Economic Daily.
인상적이었던 부분이
Well,
민주주의
one of the
위기를
things that
극복한
stood out was
대한민국민들에게
that
노벨 평화상을
you
수상할 자격이 충분한 자격이 있다,
you believe
이런
that
말씀을
our
하셨습니다.
people deserve the
이게
Nobel
국민
Peace
보고에
Prize.
대한 어떤
Is
PR
this a
의미가 아니라
commendation
실제로
for the
우리
people's
국민들의
hard work, or is
어떤
this an
절차를
actual
밟을 수 있을지 궁금합니다.
procedure that you would like to go through to recommend our people to the Nobel Peace Prize candidate? Well, actually, I can give you my personal opinion, but what I'm saying is that that is my own opinion, but this also would be depending on people's consensus and how people think. And the Nobel Peace Prize is not something that will be given by our government. It is something that is given by another institution, international institution. So that is not actually our take. But I hope that my comment today will trigger. I would like to see that it would serve as a trigger that people's discussions and people's consensus would be taken place. But it's my opinion that we really deserve it. If this insurrection, if they won, it would have resulted in a very brutal violence, and therefore, our people with their own hands blocked it, and we upheld peace with their own acts. And this is not only restricted to the Republic of Korea, but I believe that this is a good best practice for the democratic citizens of the world. And I think that this would also serve as a hope for these other people too. Let's move on to
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 코리아 타임즈의 박지원 기자입니다.
박지원 from Korea Times. You also said that December 3rd will be People's Sovereignty Day, and I would like to know what you foresee in the future, how we commemorate this day. The Republic of Korea, we fought against the injustice, and we have so many experiences as like that. And sometimes we achieved, and sometimes we failed, and sometimes the victory was really prolonged. But the people and who really won, who got the victory so beautifully, this is not a frequent activity that happens in history. Therefore, I believe that this day should be designated as a day that began the light of the revolution of light, and that began the real sovereignty of people, and so that people can look back on this day and how important this day is, and the meaning of this day. And I believe that this day has that meaning. But of course, it cannot be the administration's will. Just by will we can do that. We would have to go through the National Assembly, and there would be a lot of controversy over that as well. But I think at the end of the day, it will be people's willingness whether or not this could be really the day that could be commemorated as so. For the last 1 year, I would like to thank you for your hard work, that you really worked hard. And you said today is 1 year in the insurrection, and some people also think that it has been already 1 year, but nothing has been really resolved as of yet. So I would like to know your take on what is the progress so far, and also if you have any comments that you would like to give to our citizens, please do so. So thank you so much for asking me to give out my comments or my opinion to the people. Well,
얘기를
we
자주 합니다.
say it is the reform challenge. We have to change and we have to change to the better. The word revolution in Korean, it means it is stripping of the leather. So it would mean that for a better future, there would also be pains that could come together.
바람직한 상태로 바꾸려면
But if we want the future to be better,
부당하게 이익을 보거나
the
또는 불합리하게 이익을
forces or
보거나
activities
집단 또는
that
사람들이
are gaining interest in,
저항하게 돼 있습니다. 그건
not
자연스러운
in a
과정이죠.
justice way
마치
would be
군뱅이가
resisting.
매미가 되려면
So that is natural.
매우 위험하고 고통스러운 과정을
And
거치지 않습니까?
It is a very
그 개혁의 과정은
dangerous and
어쨌든 아픈 곳
difficult
또는
process
골마 터진 곳을
because you would have to be shedding of yourself.
만약에 감기
So,
같은 아주
This
사소한
is
질병을
a painful
막 1년씩
procedure that we have to go through. If it is
크겠죠.
just a light illness of cold and it takes 1 year to cure, then that would not make sense. But if you are treating or an ailment that is
통째로 파괴하고
cancer, it would take long time and it would be a
군인의 폭력으로
difficult
지배하고자 시도했고
procedure to
실제로
go
그게 현실이
through.
될 가능성이 매우 높았지 않습니까?
And this insurrection, the military coup, and the nation being under the rule of military was just so close. And it can happen again. Therefore, we have to thoroughly find out the truth and the fact findings of why this happened. And we would also have to punish the people who were involved. Think about it. On the night of December 3rd, if there were so many things that happened, so many coincidences that had happened to lift the martial law and to block the illegal martial law. And in this
단한 가지만
process,
뒤통수에
all these coincidences, if only had
성공했을 가능성이
really
없습니다.
ticked off, then the insurrection or the martial law could have
국회로 향하는
succeeded.
헬기를
For one example,
조기에
if the helicopter that was heading toward the National Assembly, if that was allowed
파견된
a little bit earlier, then
분 중에 누구 단 한
the martial law
사람이라도 개머리판이라도
would have
흔들었다면
succeeded. Amongst those soldiers who had their guns,
우연히 비껴나가기만 해서
if that person had swayed
지옥으로
to exercise any violence or had the guns had the actual bullets, the martial law would have succeeded and it would have
시간이
been
걸리더라도
resulting in a very violent result.
우리 후대들이
So it
겪게
was
해서는 안 됩니다.
really the God's protection of the Republic of Korea. Therefore, we should not
치료는
let this
깨끗하게
happen
해야 합니다.
again. So although it may take long, we have to succeed and we have to really clearly
깊이 반성하고 재발의 여지가 없다면
cure
수하고
this
화합하고
ailment.
포용해야 되겠죠.
We're not saying
숨겨놓고
that
적당히 넘어갈 수는 없습니다.
these people all should be punished.
통합
If they come forward
통합이
and we would have to forgive them, but
적당히 미봉해
we cannot just throw it under the rug
재발합니다.
and think that it is resolved.
조금만
It will
더 힘내주시고
then happen
조금만
again.
더 도와주시고
So I ask
조금만 더
for
견뎌주시기
you
바랍니다.
to bear with us and to have faith in us so that we can complete
이어서 기자님, 네.
this mission.
안녕하세요. OBS 이여진입니다.
Hello, I am Yeojin from OBS. Tonight you will be attending a march that is held by a civic group. It is also an unprecedented action by an incumbent president. So I would like to know what is the background of you attending that march. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a message in that march, but in that very historic moment and in that historic scene, I wanted to take part because I also have that nightmare still in my mind of last year, December 3rd. Although it is painful, I would not like to forget about that. So I would like to just quietly attend this march as a person and as a citizen of Republic of Korea. So I don't see you that often. You chasing me with a microphone these days. Well, thank you so much for your
이제
interest.
대통령님께서 다음 일정이 있어서
Well, the president,
한 번만 더 받을까요? 네, 한
since
번만
he
더
has
질문을
other
받겠습니다. 네, 여기 이동환 기자님 이쪽 넘어와서 질문 받겠습니다.
appointments, we would like to cater to our one last question. I am 이동환 from 국민 Daily. You said the people's unity is what is more important, but from the political party, it is saying that the special probe should be prolonged. So I would like to know your take on that. And my second question is that you mentioned earlier about President Trump as a Nobel Peace Prize candidate. So what is your take on that? Well, we don't have only one Nobel Peace Prize, right? We have it every year. So this is not something that will end in a short period of time. So I think that answers your question. Well, about additional special probe, I believe the National Assembly will have their own opinion and will have their own decision. But what I want to say is that we still have so many things that are not revealed. And I posted on my Twitter an article that I deeply empathized on. It was about this trash balloon sent by North Korea. And it was an article that there might have been some actions that were taken by South Korea to provoke them, and there were helicopters sent to North Korea, and it was a massive propaganda carrying balloon that like a psychological propaganda that had been sent to the north by the military. This was something that was not revealed before. So this shows that although we know all of the truths, it shows that we still have things that are hidden. The insurrection had been blocked, but there are hidden facts that are not revealed yet. So for that, there would be needing more special investigations. But would this be something that we can take during our administration? This is a very complex task to take on. So I believe that National Assembly will deliberate on this. So I heard that I can depart at 9:40, so I think we have some more time to cater to more questions.
아 죄송해요. 제가 지금 안경 안 써서 제가 조금 네.
Sorry,
성함을 헷갈렸습니다.
I'm sorry, I confused your name.
대통령님 연합뉴스 황윤기
Hello, I am Hwang
기자입니다.
Yoongi from
그
Yonhap News
성명에서
Agency.
말씀하신 것 중에
As you said
정의로운
in
통합이라는
your
단어가
remarks,
눈에
the
띄었는데요.
just unity that
그
you used,
야당에서는 뭐 윤석열 전 대통령에
the
대해서
opposition
다양한
party
의견들이 나오고 내부 갈등도 있는 상황인데
have many different opinions, and the former President Yoon also have their own opinions. So, what is the range of the just unity that you have in mind, and how you think it could be realized? Well, as I frequently say, the role of the president, the first and foremost responsibility is the unity of the people. Of course, I was a representative from one political party, but as soon as I took the office, I am the president of the people of the Republic of Korea. And also, it is indeed the course of nature that there are conflicts of interest, but nevertheless, it is the president's role and responsibility to unite the people, nevertheless. And I have never forgotten that task. But there are people who are trying to abuse this responsibility. So let's say that let's just unite like just half of it, just take only half of it. That is not unity. So some people would say that, let's just compromise, but they are also our people. So we have to sanction them, we have to talk with them, and we have to move forward together with them. So the unity is based on morality, and this is something that everyone can have an understanding and have a consensus on. But if some people say, well, things had happened, so, for the sake of unity, why don't we just compromise? This is not unity. So just unity is not just putting everything together and just sewing it, but it is that it has to be a just unity so that it could not be abused. So, and the word just or justice had been polluted so much. So that is why I said a just unity. And as we all know that the most unjust used the word just the most. It was the former President Chun Doo-hwan. He was the most unjust, and he also really proclaimed just as much as he could. This goes the same for unity. Unity or integration is not that meaning. So I would like the unity to take place in earnest.
안녕하세요. 쿠키뉴스 이승 기자입니다.
Hello, I am from Cookie News.
계엄 1년이 됐지만
So today marks the 1 year of martial law decree, and we are seeing the negative effects on our economy. The inflation that we're seeing these days, and because of the foreign currency and this issue of our economy being very anemic, how are you going to manage this inflation, and how do you plan to see the minimum negative impact on the vulnerable? I think we have to think about the inflation and its correlation with the economy. The worst is the economic stagnation that is correlated with low currency rate. So that was the previous administration. Compared to then, the economy has been stabilized, and we are seeing a rapid recovery of economic growth. Last quarter, we had seen negative growth of minus 2%, but at the moment, we are seeing a rapid recovery of economy. So I think the final growth forecast is 1%. So our latter half, we have seen the almost 2% growth rate, economic growth rate. So we do have exchange rate issue. We have the stock market issue. So we are looking into these issues closely, and we're executing what we can do. What is the comprehensive price at the moment? It's 2.1%, right? Well, if you look at it from a broad perspective, but what we are actually feeling, it is higher, and it is giving difficulties to our people, so we will take good management of it. So we have 2 questions that are pending.
네, 대통령님 뉴시스 김경록입니다.
Hello, I am from Newsis.
오늘이 취임 6개월 되시는 시점입니다.
Well, coincidentally, today marks your 6th month in office, and you mentioned many times about the restoration of the nation, and I believe that your remarks are in this context as well. Of course, it is important that we should do right about something that was happening that was in the past, but I would like to know your future plans of your administration. Well, before I answer that question, something comes to my mind. Last night, the opposition party had agreed on the budget bill, and I would like to thank the opposition party for their decision. And I believe that this is what politics should really look like. For the last 6 months, I can't really remember what had happened almost. That's how busy it was. And I believe for the last 6 months, the more of the focus was on recovery, and we also did a lot of preparation for the future and future-oriented and growth-oriented plans. And it would take more of a turn to that direction as we go forward. But also recovering the abnormal to normal. This should also be continued, but the proportion or the weight of the administration work would change, and it would have more weight on the future-oriented policies. But thanks to everyone's support and everyone's hard work, we believe that the last 6 months had seen a lot of achievements, and this economic recovery is converting in a more rapid way and more rapidly than we had expected. And the capital market and all the different indices, we're seeing a good sign, although we would need more time. So we would take the really last question. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, you said the tumor, in order to take it out, it would take time. I believe that you are referring to the judgment on the people who were involved in the insurrection. And I remember you once mentioned that some things take too long. So what is your target timeline of this judgment to take place and to finish. And my other question is that we will see a new year in 1 month, and what are the keywords or the subjects of the Lee Jae-myung administration for the new year? Well, for the New Year's resolution, I will make that announcement in about a month. So because we're still contemplating, so the result will come out then. The insurrection and punishment of the insurrection activities, this is different from clearing out the past. Because clearing out the past would be more of like really clearing out the remnants, but the insurrection, the eliminating the insurrections, or let's say distinguishing the insurrectional forces, this is what is happening. So when does this end? It will end when it ends, but we will do our best for it to end as soon as possible. This is not something that I can do myself, but we have our independent institution, which is the special probe, and we have other institutions, the independent bodies, and these investigations are taking place. And as you all know, this is not something that we can just hurry into. So I hope that we can see the result as soon as possible and as clear as possible. It is 1 year anniversary of the martial law decree, but it is also 1 year anniversary of the beginning of the Revolution of Light. And this is the collective intelligence of our people, our sovereignty, our profound sense of sovereignty, our extraordinary resilience that had stopped the unjust activities. I believe that people would have thought, could self-coup happen in the 21st century? Well, we had blocked it, and we won with the great people of our Republic of Korea's people. So, thank you, everyone.
Now that ends our special live coverage of President Lee Jae-myung's special statement marking 1 year since the short-lived martial law order on December 3rd. Thanks for watching. We'll be back shortly with New Day at Arirang. Stay tuned.